gentlemen for the moment. I would like to welcome you all on the second birth anniversary of the Legends Club. Today is the 7th function, and the Legends Club has come a long way since 12th October 2003. And we really hope that this movement continues and the family grows. We have with us today an impressive array of speakers, men who really need no introduction. Mr. Raj Singh, the driving force behind this movement, if one may use that word, could not make it because of a prior commitment, and Mr. Milind Rege had to rush off to a selection committee meeting. So without wasting any time, we would like to begin the proceedings. As Mr. Amogh Mathure just told me, it's one of the most important things for any cricketer or cricket enthusiast to start on time. So we are starting on time. We would like to begin the proceedings with a personality who is an inspiration for several generations, including mine, Mr. Vasant Raiji, cricket historian. I would like him to talk about the Legends Club and this movement, which is now 2 years old. Mr. Raiji.
When there are no ladies, so I can say gentlemen. My pleasure to be with you today, this afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
No. Now, this is the second year of Legends Club. The first meeting was held on 12th October 2003, when attendance was 30. Then within a year, the membership swelled to 81, of which 56 were from Bombay. There were 22 up-country members and 3 members from overseas. Today, the membership has swelled to over 300, around 325. And there are 200 from Mumbai, 100 up-country, and 25 from foreign countries. Now, meetings have been regularly held, and there have been interesting discussions, and we have timed the meetings on the birthdays of the 3 Vs whom we have been honoring. Now, amongst the other activities, the Legends Club has published a booklet which is on 3 Vs, Vinu, Vijay, and 2 Vijays. The club has also a tie which is available on sale, and also we screened a film on Vijay Hazare, and that was also a very interesting evening when we saw the film. Now, I have been allotted 10 minutes, but I think I will pass on my time to the other speakers who have more interesting subjects to deal with. But before I take my seat, I would like to pay a small tribute to Vijay Merchant. Now, I think I must be the only man in this audience who not only watched his debut in first-class cricket, but also his debut in Test cricket. In 1929, I watched him play for the Hindus in the quadrangulars when he made his debut in first-class cricket. Hindus versus Muslims. Then the Hindus won, and the following match was Hindus versus Parsis, and Hindus won the tournament. But Vijay's performances were very, very modest. I mean, he didn't set the Bombay Gymkhana on fire during the debut. But I also watched his debut in Test cricket again at the Bombay Gymkhana, 1933, India versus England. So, and I played a lot of cricket with him on the club. He was my Bombay captain. Then I've also played against him in Ranji Trophy when I shifted to my playing days to Baroda, because I lost my place in the Bombay side, and there was a stiff competition for batsmen. So I was still young, and I said, why I can play for Baroda, I have a birth qualification. So I played for Baroda against Bombay. Vijay played for Bombay then. So I played a lot of cricket with Vijay. Some characteristics. So I also, the one interesting, I also watched him kicked out by Compton. And I was in London in 1946, and I was watching the Oval Test. Now, probably some of you may know the incident. You see, Vijay took a cheeky single, and Compton, as you know, was an international football player, also soccer player. So, realizing that if he bent down, picked up the ball and threw, Vijay would make his crease, so he would not be able to run him out. So Compton just kicked the ball, and his kick was right into the stumps, dislodged the bail, and Vijay was declared run out. That was a very interesting little incident in cricket, and I think it has been lost sight of, but I think it is something worth narrating. And a few characteristics of Vijay, I would first, he believed in the theory that practice makes a man perfect. Even when he scored 100 in a club match on Sunday, he would be at the nets at 4:30 on Monday. He believed that practice makes a man perfect. He also believed that slow and steady wins the race. He was never in a hurry to score. He took his own time. Then he never lofted a ball. He all his in the early stages he used to hook. Then later on he found that he couldn't keep the hook stroke along the ground, so he gave up with the hook. Then his main strokes were late cut and push of the back foot. But he was a real master of a late cut. I hardly seen anybody except Dilip Singh ji, better late cutter than Merchant. Then he never underrated the opponent, the bowler. He always thought that he was going to bowl his best ball against him, and he played accordingly. He wanted to see Bhatia community have a tendency to eat good meals and put on weight, but he was very strict about his diet. He was very frugal, very uninteresting diet if you were to sort of list what he ate. And he was very particular about eyesight. So he never went to, he had the notion that if he went to movies, he would spoil his eyesight. So he never went to movies. And about reading small print and all that, he used to avoid much reading, because he again felt that reading would also spoil his eyesight. So these are some of his eccentricities. But that was Vijay Merchant. I think I've said enough now about Vijay, and I've said enough about the club, so I'll take my seat. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Raiji. The legend whose 94th birth anniversary falls today is considered one of the greatest opening batsmen of all time, and there are several reasons why he is considered so. Unfortunately, the generation that followed was not able to get adequate exposure to Vijay Merchant, because there was no radio, no television. It wasn't as prevalent as it is today. But who better to talk about Vijay Merchant, the opener, than someone who has seen him from close quarters, first from the stands, then for many, many years from the same dressing room, who has batted with him, a legend in his own right, Mr. Paulie Umrigar. I would like to request him to talk about Vijay Merchant, the opening batsman. Paulie Gaka.
Well, gentlemen, I'm very happy that they have given me the opportunity to say a few words about Vijay Merchant, which I consider him as a guru and who helped me in my cricket. What I have achieved in cricket is entirely due to him, and of course another gentleman who is here also, and who is our president of our club, Mr. Amogh Mathure. These are the two people who guided my whole cricket career. I consider Vijay as a batsman. Batsmanship is not, Vijay's batsmanship was an art. And what is required in this batsmanship? That is timing, judgment, concentration and determination. All these qualities Vijay had. About his stance, he had a very natural, upright stance. A perfect grip and a correct back lift. He had a very good footwork and he was able to adjust to any type of bowling. He had a very good match temperament and tremendous concentration. Now, Vijay while batting, he would watch the ball very minutely, in a sense that till the ball hit his bat, he had his eyesight on the ball. He had a habit of watching the spin. He had the habit of seeing how the ball went, because with his very good footwork, he was able to go all sorts of bowling. As Russell pointed out, that he was very, very serious about his net practice. If he scored 100 or something in the Medan match, he will not skip practice the next week. He will be very much over there and seriously practice. One thing, if some bowler got him out, I really pity him, because if he found that he is not able to play this type of bowling, he would call him at the CCI nets and practice hard till he got this confidence to say that now I can cope this bowler. This quality I don't see in any cricketer at present. Vijay had other qualities also. That he was not only an outstanding cricketer, opening bat, but he was a gentleman cricketer. He was a good thinker of the game, well conversant with the laws and statistics of the game. Mind you, all these points which I am saying, I will be actually giving the example of this. He would completely absorb in discussions on all the days of the match. After the match, we were not allowed to just roam about or do anything, but he would call us and they'll have a very healthy discussion of what happened in today's game and what we should do the next day. Which again you find that nowadays the boys don't get together and one is roaming here and one is roaming there. I've never seen to lose his cool. I've never seen him excited, I've never seen him angry, but always a helping hand to anybody who went near him. He was a good speaker after dinner, and that, I felt that it brought the image of the Indian team when there were big functions held. He used to do a lot of social work also. And why I rate him as one of the top bats, opening bats, I think it was in 1946 46 England tour, where he scored over 1,500 runs, and that too on a very wet summer. So that gives a credit to his batting ability also. So these points which I have put before you, gentlemen, I would like to tell you that what he has done for me and my cricket. In the first Ranji Trophy which I played over here in Bombay against Nawanagar, I did well. I got 3 wickets and I scored 33 runs. But in the evening he calls me and tells me a batsman doesn't throw his wickets at 33. Either he gets out earlier or he should continue. Well, that word I still remember. These are the golden words where it helped me to build my innings in my future career. Then an incident happened in the test match against the West Indies at Delhi. Here I was selected in the first 10, and the 11th man was between Sarvate and Adhikari. So I was very happy because in the university game I had scored 130 runs, and that is why I was picked in the Indian side. But in the morning, K.K. Taramo comes to me and tells me, I've got bad news for you. I said, what is it? He said, you are not playing today. And believe it or not, being so young, so energetic and so forceful that I would get a chance here, it was a real disappointment to me. But you know what, Vijay Bhai, after I came back to Bombay, Vijay Bhai said that this heartened thing which has come to your way, you are very lucky it has happened to you in the beginning of your career. This will make you work hard and you will have better results in your future cricket career which will be going on. Then about his cricket rules, he was very thorough in the rules. And I remember one incident was in the SGOC match at Madras when Frankie Warren went for runs. He was really hammering us, and at one time it looked as if they would win. But somehow or the other, on the boundary line, I took a very good running catch, and after taking a catch, I went out in what you call follow through or in the run. Duckworth comes out and says that no, it's not, no, I was telling Frankie Warren to go back. But Frankie knew that he was out, so he just walks in. Then Leslie Ames came. He said he's out. Then Vijay Bhai came near me, and I was a young boy at that time. I was sitting in the dressing room. Let that man come to me. You don't say anything. So he was so helpful, and he was so knowledgeable and so distinct in his rules that he knew what he was actually doing. So he was a very well-read cricketer, an outstanding cricketer, knew the rules properly, and he could challenge anybody and talk with him. And the last one which I remember when I went to, before going to West Indies, and when I came back, I had done very well. So only 2 cricketers I went. One was Vijay Bhai and one was Amogh Mathure. That I want to retire. What have you to say? Because Mr. Mathure said that it is a perfect timing. But when I went to Vijay Bhai and asked him, he heard everything. You know, the typical thing, when he wants not to commit or say anything straight away, he had that typical phrase, that means he was thinking what to say next. He says, go home, Polly, come after 2 days and tell me what you want to do. Because the glamour and all which you was having when you were playing, that you will miss. And are you prepared to undergo these things, these setbacks? Next day I came and I went near him. I said, Vijay Bhai, now definitely want to retire from Test cricket. He said that you couldn't have taken a wiser decision. So these are the two gentlemen. Of course, Vijay Bhai in the beginning, then followed with Amogh Mathure. But these are the people who who helped me in my cricket, and I'm really grateful to Vijay Bhai for not only he helped me in my cricket career, but what an outstanding cricketer he was. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Polikaka. If a member of the present generation is asked what is the ultimate test of an opening batsman, he will say that it is his performance against the Australian new ball bowlers. But 20 years later, 40 years ago, the West Indies team was considered the ultimate benchmark. Any opening batsman who succeeded against the West Indies, particularly in the West Indies, was considered very special. And we have with us a personality who had an outstanding record as opening batsman against the West Indies in the West Indies. Mr. Madhav Apte, I would like to request him to talk about opening batsmanship. Mr. Apte, please.
One lady and gentlemen. I think before I begin the subject of my talk this morning, I would like to start by paying a sincere homage to the memory of late Vijay Merchant. On a very personal note, I would be eternally grateful to him for what he did. My guru, Amogh Mathure, will perhaps remember this. This was the year 1951-52. The Bombay team was incredibly strong. Amogh Mathure was the captain, but the rest of them were Vijay Merchant, Vinu Mankan, Dattu Phadkar, the whole lot. I had a particularly good season that year in domestic cricket, local cricket, scoring over 3,000 runs. And yet, I was not even in the 14 that was selected to play against Saurashtra in the first Ranji Trophy match. As it happened, Vijay Bhai, while practicing in the nets, I think injured himself and opted out last minute. I did not realize then, but apparently I was the standby opening batsman and I got an opportunity. I was lucky to get 100 on the first appearance. And after that, Vijay Bhai graciously opted out of the tournament by saying that you have a younger man now, why do I need to bat? That gave me an opportunity to play and also probably an opening into the international cricket. So I would always remain eternally grateful to him. The subject I chose was opening batting. Looking around, I was wondering, what I did was try to understand what is required to be an opening batsman. But looking around, I'm just wondering how many of us here present would be aspiring opening batsmen of the future. Probably not, but at the same time I think it would be useful to understand what opening batting is all about. To begin with, I would think that unlike what most of the Indian selectors seem to think, opening batting is a specialized position. Sadly, Indian selectors have never recognized this. As a result of this, anybody who gets some runs or has reasonable technique is pushed into number one. I think one of the classic examples that comes to my mind is of course of an extremely fine batsman like Ashok Mankar, who was shifted from number 1 to number 8 or number 9, whatever. From whenever it was required, he was pushed into that. As a result of this, I think it certainly affected his career, which could have been much longer. Opening batting is not really only about the technique, the reflexes, etc. I think basically, the opening batsman, whoever he be, must enjoy doing this job. Without that, I don't think his involvement would be there. That's one. Second point I would make is that in batting particularly, in this game of cricket, at least that's what I believe, maybe 70% is really in the mind of the batsman. 30% may be technique. Because unless you are extremely sharp in your mind and you are thinking about the innings, you cannot do justice to the job. Even an opening batsman, apart from his technique, I think has to be continuously thinking about, or maybe shadow play in the mind of what is likely to happen, what the bowler is going to do, etc. And he has to be mentally prepared to do the job, which sadly, as I said, is not recognized by the selectors, and due importance is not given to the position. When I look back, I have to divide the position of opening batting into two parts. One was during our times, I'm talking of the 50s and 60s, and the second one is, of course, after the advent of one-day cricket, or after the conditions of play changed. When we were aspiring opening batsmen, and out of that again, I have to say this, Vijay Merchant, Polly has spoken about his net practice, etc. Vinu Mankad was our coach in college, and one of the part of training was to watch Vijay Merchant bat in the nets in the morning. I'm talking 1951, 49, 50, 51. Vijay Bhai would come early morning because of the dew and the movement of the ball, get aspiring fast bowlers to bowl to him in the nets. And many of us were there from college cricket, who had to stand behind the nets and watch Vijay Merchant bat. And that in itself was an education. So one has to say that these were the times when the wickets were not covered, protective gear was not there, you had to bat under all possible conditions, and that required a certain amount of different discipline, if I have to say that. And that was to cope with all the various conditions that one would have to face. To be an opening batsman, of course, the first prerequisite would be that your reflexes have to be sharp. Because, I think as Sir Donald has said, for a fast bowler, the travel time between the two wickets of the ball is 1/6 of a second. Now, within that 1/6 of a second, the batsman has to decide whether to leave the ball, whether to play it, whether to duck, whether to hit, whatever, or get bowled. So, this is reflexes, I think sharp reflexes is something which is the first prerequisite. He must also have sound technique, sound defense. It was Neville Carter, Sir Neville Carter, who wrote about Sir Jack Hobbs. And what he wrote was very succinct. He said, with Sir Jack Hobbs, there could be an error of judgment, but never error of grammar of batting, which meant that the technique was so perfect, the bat, the pads, whatever, had to be in place. He could make an error where the ball would pitch, etc. I think same thing could go with Vijay Merchant as well. When I look back, I think some of the best opening batsmen that I have seen, Vijay Bhai would of course be one, Len Hutton is another one, Sunil is the third one. They're all great and they have one basic quality. A, judgment of the moving ball. B, sharp eyesight. Obviously sound technique. And as Vijay Bhai, when I was growing up as an aspiring opening batsman, said, Madhav, the art of opening batting is not in playing the ball, it's in leaving the ball. And he was a great judge of the moving ball, and also he left the ball just outside the off stump and so on. Here is another opening batsman, Dilip, who was also very good, very, very good indeed. I think he started at lower number but got pushed into the opening batting and succeeded, which was great. So these are some of the things which are required, and also one has to look at, again, when you look back, in those days, there was no protective gear. The only protective gear was only the thigh pad. And the generation previous to mine thought that even that was girlish. She can have to believe that to wear thigh guard or whatever was just not required. Why? The bowler has the ball, the batsman has the bat. Why do you need this kind of protective gear? In our times, thigh guard, because Vijay Bhai again told me that, Mother, if you're going to be an opening batsman, get used to having a thigh guard, because regardless of how good or bad you are going to get hit on the, and there is no reason why you should punish yourself unnecessarily. But that was the only protective gear that was available then. So that also meant that you had to be much sharper with your reflexes, which was judgment of the ball, whether it was bouncing or leaving or whatever. That also put a different dimension to the game, to the art of opening batting. It has always been debated whether opening batting is a science or an art. I think it's partly both. When people like Vijay Merchant, Sunil Gavaskar, or Len Hutton bat, I think it's more of science than art. But when you see a Mushtaq Ali or when you see a Sachin Tendulkar, I think it probably transcends into also an art. It's an art form. I was lucky to play with late Mushtaq Ali a couple of innings together, and it was amazing what he could do with his artistry. But I guess that you found the batsmen like Vijay Merchant or Sunil were much more scientific in a sense. Also during our times, the expectation of an opening batsman from the captain and indeed from the team was to see the gloss off. The only requirement, the first requirement was that as an opening batsman, it did not matter whether you scored runs or not, but the shine of the ball had to be taken away, so that the rest of the batsmen, the stroke players, would come in and then take advantage of this. This was so that was the prime requirement of the batting. Of course, over the years, with the advent of one-day cricket or limited overs cricket, things have changed. I think there is more improvisation now required even for the opening batsman. Also, I guess, and I still play occasionally cricket. Somehow that I have never got into wearing either a helmet or whatever, no protective gear. But when I think about the protective gear and all the protection that one has, the batsman has today, I cannot help feeling that there must be some impact on the batting, the psyche of the batsman as well as, because all said and done, I think I have heard this comment sometimes that, oh, I love fast bowling. Frankly, I don't think that, if you ask me, I don't think that's very truthful. Some of those who say this may be very good at facing fast bowling, but nobody likes fast bowling or loves fast bowling. I think when the fast bowler's back is seen, there is a sigh of relief from however good a batsman you may be, because of the physical danger involved. Which again brings me to a point that if you are going to be an opening batsman, I think I would put it somewhat differently, oddly perhaps, you must be, firstly, I think you must be conscious of the physical danger involved. You must respect your own physics, body, and you must also respect the fast bowler. Which means that you must be alert. You cannot have the bravado and do things which would endanger that. With the protective gear now, I cannot help feeling that the technique perhaps is now sacrificed to an extent. Because, and also one sees very often batsmen in international cricket also being hit on the head, on the helmet, the ball going. I think during our time, that is when I look back over 60 years of cricket, you seldom saw, when there were no helmets, you seldom saw a batsman hit on the head. Because I think you were consciously alert of that kind of physical danger. Now with this protective gear, I guess one can afford to be a little complacent, if I may use the expression. So that also has changed perhaps the approach to opening batting. Technique, I guess, is probably sacrificed to an extent. Also possibly because in one-day cricket there are no slips, there are no catching positions. The 15 overs, early 15 overs, you have to be aggressive, which has its pluses, which has its minuses. Perhaps, again, when I look at it analytically, one does see nowadays more and more results, even in test matches. In fact, that is perhaps the influence of one-day cricket, where the batsmen are getting more and more aggressive stroke play. You don't see many long innings, good 40, 50, quick 50, strike rates, all these sort of different descriptions were absent then. This possibly has influenced the batting of opening batting. But having said all this, one may have all the technique in the world, all the wherewithal, and yet, finally, I think, when I look at the opening batting, or if there are any aspiring opening batsmen, you obviously need to have all this technique, the temperament, focus, attention, etc., etc. But at the end of it, I think what also contributes or counts is a bit of luck. Without luck, I think any batting for that matter, but particularly opening batting, I think would be rather difficult, more difficult than what it is. I think this is all I would say about the opening batting as I have played it. He was very kind to say that I got runs, but I have to say, confess, that West Indian fast bowling during our tour, 53, was only one end was quick. I think subsequent is, there were both ends, I think when Polly played in 62, then your next tour. First tour, of course, there was one bowler, Gomez was not very quick, King was fast. So it was not as much pressure on the opening batting as maybe Dilip and Sunil and Polly went in the subsequent tours. So I was fortunate in that sense and had a reasonably good tour. So if you are going to be an opening batsman, any one of you, all I can say is that concentrate, firstly enjoy the batting. You must enjoy the number that you are, not because you are forced to do it. If you are forced to do it, then I don't think there is enjoyment. But enjoy the batting and then concentrate on the job in hand and hopefully with luck try and succeed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Apte. It was interesting to hear Mr. Raiji say that Mr. Vijay Merchant, to protect his vision, had a habit of reading books with large type. There's another opening batsman who had the same habit. An opener who, like Mr. Madhav Apte and Mr. Dilip Sardesai, had an outstanding record against the West Indies, in the West Indies, among other things. In his childhood, he was taught a very important lesson by his maternal uncle. His uncle told him that there was no shortcut to the top. I would now like to request the uncle, one of India's best wicket-keeper batsmen, and someone who had probably the best view of opening batsmen, to speak about openers as seen from behind the stumps, the president of the Legends Club, Mr. Amogh Mathure. Mr. Mathure.
Friends, at the outset, I apologize to you for having you have to stand there, but I take it as a tribute to Vijay Merchant that so many of you have come here, and Amar is here, and Amar will be very happy to see that such a crowd is there. Then I thank the Legends Club for appointing me as the president for the in succession to Vasant Raiji. Vasant Raiji has given you the record of this, and I hope I will continue in his footsteps. Then there are two distinguished persons who are abroad, who normally stay abroad but are especially here. I must mention that. And one is Rucha Communications, who was the honorary secretary of the Bombay Cricket Association, and then so much for Bombay cricket. These years especially come here. And the other is one and only Ruchi Surti from Australia. Ruchi. Now, Mr. Raj Singh is not there today, but he has done his job here. He has written an article in the Hindustan Times about Vijay Merchant. And I am sure some of you must have read it. So he mentioned the two tours, 1936 tour and 1946 tour, which Vijay Merchant was outstanding there. And he mentioned about 2,000 runs and 8 centuries in the 1946 tour. But that is of great significance because 1946 season was one of the wettest summers in England. Kindly remember that. It was a normal summer, it was a wettest summer, and it was very difficult for an Indian who plays on a good wickets here, go and get acclimatized and play there. That is more creditable on a wettest summer. When others were struggling, he scored 2,000 runs and in 8 centuries there. So that is remarkable thing, that's it. Now, Raj Singh, when he fixed up this, told me that as a wicketkeeper, I must have seen so many opening batsmen and I must. But as a wicketkeeper, I saw not only the opening batsmen but great batsmen also. And after I gave up cricket, I watched cricket along with Polly Umbriger. We were sitting together always, and there too, because I was a wicketkeeper, I was watching from that angle only. And throughout the career, throughout our cricketing career, I think I come across so many good players, but 5 performances absolutely stand in that. First is Frank Worrell's century at Kanpur. Niran, you will remember that. At Kanpur, Commonwealth team, he on a coil matting wicket. I rank it as number 1. Number 2, Vijay Hazare, which is very ground, 309 against Hindus in the Pentangular final, playing for the rest. Third is Vinu Mankad's great knock at 178 not out, 778 or something, 180 or something at Lords when in 1952 in the second test. Then the fourth one is Sunil Gavaskar's double century against West Indies at Wankhede Stadium in 1979. And the fifth one is Dennis Compton's, Dennis Compton's in the Ranji Trophy game, Bombay versus Holkar final, a double century. That also ranks one of the 5. Now Frank Worrell's was the greatest because he just played on a coil matting wicket. Somebody asked me, we were just discussing about coil matting wicket before we came. And it's very difficult to play when you are used to playing on a tough wicket. It's very difficult to adjust to on a coil matting wicket. And normally the reaction is, because the ball comes up, comes up, you go on the back foot. Normally the average cricketer is on the back foot. But Frank Worrell, that is so beautifully, he was playing forward as if he was batting on a tough wicket. And without getting beaten, absolutely perfect knock it was. And in Indian bowling, Mankad, Ghulam Ahmed. Vijay Hazare on a coil matting wicket was a great bowler. And then Dattu Phadka. They were all there, but not once he was beaten. All playing forward and driving the ball. Driving is very difficult on a coil matting wicket, driving the ball on all sides. And when I played the other test matches also, before the third test match, it was the fourth test match. Third test match at Calcutta, it was played on the 30th December and something. The 31st December night was New Year's Eve and they all celebrated. And when he came to a bat on 1st January, Frank Worrell told me, I can't see a thing, I'm just playing on my instinct. I can't see, and he just like that only, he scored few runs and he got out. Then when he came to bat on this coil matting wicket on Kanpur, I saw that his eyes were absolutely clear, he was batting beautifully. So when I did the interval, I said, Frank, but I see that your eyes are very clear today. Yeah? He said, yes, man, what can you do? My all colleagues say that Frank Worrell is a great player, great batsman. What is he doing in first test match, 3 test matches? He has not scored at all. Who says he's a great player? So my reputation is at stake. And that was the reason why he played beautiful. My reputation at stake, and he proved that he was a great cricketer. And I think you must have watched it, and I personally feel I haven't seen a better knock than him. Then Hazare is played of course 309 playing for rest. He was the only player there, others were average cricketers. all down, 5 wickets down, something, and that's from that stage he scored beautiful. And then the mentality, the players' mentality then. Now C.S. Naidu was a great bowler. So I told C.S., I was a wicket keeper, I told C.S., I said, why are you concentrating on Vijay Hazare? His brother, his Vivek had come. I said, you give him one single, you give him a single and concentrate on the other, take wicket. He said, क्या इसको कभी भी लेगा, हमको इसका wicket चाहिए. This is the spirit, that difference, how you, this is the spirit in which they were playing. I want this, my best batsman, I am a best bowler, okay, I must get him out. That sort of a thing. So that is there. And one thing was, 297, 294 or something, last ball, Chandu Sarvati bowling, and we didn't want to give him a single. So that we could attack the other batsman. For the first time, Vijay Hazare stepped out for a flighted leg break and lifted the ball, and it went perfectly timed, absolutely perfectly, unintentional perhaps, and perfectly timed, went straight, landed on the screen. Perhaps the only sixer in his life he must have done. Hazare never lifted the ball, all ground should. Same thing Vijay Merchant. No, they never lifted the ball, all along the ground. And therefore, Bobby Talaikan wrote, when Abbas Ali Beg was kissed here by a girl, Vijay Merchant was commenting, and he says, when I scored centuries, where were these girls? So Bobby wrote next time, yes, they were all there about Vijay Merchant, but they were fast asleep. That's what I mean. But because, ground stroke nobody likes. If you lift the ball, then he was a palm tree hitter here. Sixer, great sixer specialist for you, was very popular all over. So, the Vijay Hazare's thing, Vishnu Pankaj, of course, everyone knows, 52. And first inning he scored 70 odd runs, then went out to field, bowled 70 odd overs and got 5 wickets, and again opened the innings and scored that. And when he got 100, there was the tea interval or something. He says, he used to call me George, I'm tired. No, I said, no, you have to bat. If you get out, we won't have another 50. So better you stay there. As long as you are there, you will get those runs. So if he stayed there, he scored 180 and he got out. But it was dubbed as Vinu Mankad versus England. So it was one of the finest knocks I have seen. There was number 3. Sunil Gavaskar's inning against the West Indies. It had rained before. And the Wankhede Stadium, it had rained and it was wet wicket. They lost the toss, they had to bat. And for at least a couple of hours, wicket was very, very bad, and later on it improved. But very first ball, they were all new bowlers. Sylvester Clark was coming, Robert Phillips was there, and Malcolm Marshall for the first time here, he was coming here. They were absolutely unknown bowlers, they were not known. But Sylvester Clark bowled the very first ball, pitched outside the off stump on a good leg, and came up suddenly and came in. Now, normally the batsman reaction would have been to do like this, but Sunil Gavaskar absolutely played like this, stayed there and played the ball here, ball ended there. Any other batsman would have given a simple catch to us, the silly downfielder, but then I realized, Paulie and myself were watching that game, and I realized that he's in good form. He scored 200 runs, one of the finest. Although he doesn't say so, he says in Manchester 40 odd runs he played on a really bad wicket. That was his best knock. But I personally feel, because I have not seen that, I saw this, one of the best knocks I have seen. And the 5th one, as I said, was Dennis Compton. And Dennis Compton was another great cricketer and playing for a wicket. In his last wicket partnership, he batted more than 100 runs and scored a century. But kindly remember, when he batted that, early in the innings, the heel of the boots, that's a cricket boot, came off. So left foot, heel had come off, He batted just like that because this was wartime. He had come on wartime, there was no spare shoot with him. He had borrowed somebody's shoes. Therefore, this is what they, but normally it would have been difficult for all of us to play and then football. But for Dennis Compton did not different, beautiful, for all bowlers, for medium bowlers he used to step out. For medium pace bowlers he used to step out and clean. And so these are the 5 best knocks I have seen. And now coming to the opening batsman, I mentioned about two knocks which I seen as a wicket keeper. One was the Lane Hutton's century against us in 52. 152 Lane Hutton's century. He during the war time, he was hurt and this was fractured, and as a matter of fact his left arm was shorter than the other. But that didn't make any difference to him. And he played so, and the main thing, sir, is, and which Mother of so this and the contribution, the concentration. Opening batsman's main thing is the concentration on the ball, right? Concentration. And Lane Hutton never uttered a word, never talked to you. Dennis Compton was talking all the time. But Lane Hutton won't talk to you at all. I remember that in that entire inning, only once he said something, you know why? Besides Sadhubabu Shinde was bowling, Sadhubabu Shinde bowled a googly. Lane did not spot it. But the batsman, opening batsman, was the ball till the last. There is another principle. Was the ball till the last. So that he watching the ball till the last, ball pitched there. I saw that it was a googly, I was ready, but I saw he has not made it, so I was hoping, but he saw ball pitching coming in, played, and then looked at me and said, that was the wrong one. That was the only thing he said throughout the evening, but otherwise no. First thing, good morning only, there is nothing else, they won't speak. That is a concentration. The beautiful, absolutely cover drives, these are cover drives and on-site placings, and normal, any good cricketer plays, he will play. So that was Lane Hutton. And the other thing is, not in the test match, but here on the Ranji Trophy finals, that is Mushtaq Ali. Now Mushtaq Ali by nature was an attacking player. And not only attacking player, but the unorthodox attacking player. You not a normal, you'll do anything. You'll move away. I used to think we were keeping wickets, he used to move away. The bowler used to think he is not ready. The bowler used to stop. He used to say, no, I'm ready, you bowl. But at the time of ball playing, he was right there. But upset the bowler. So sometimes he used to step out. That's an absolutely unorthodox player and aggressive player, all the time aggressive player. He scored a beautiful knock, beautiful century in the first inning by playing this normal knock. The second innings, we had scored about 700 runs and they wanted 700 runs to win, which was not possible. So they had to play for a draw or something. So instructions were to stay at the wicket. So we had to play a defensive game. I was hoping from the wicketkeeper side, I saw it, what a beautiful defense he had. He played a perfect defensive player. So, he could not resist a one ball, he hit a 6. The second idol from the pavilion said, pushed out. And again he went into the shade and scored another 100 innings, but two different. One is completely attacking inning, the second was defensive inning. That is a great player, great player, because he plays according to the situation and all that. So Mushtaq Ali, the great cricketer, he scored that century. When we had second innings, we were following on second innings, they scored run a minute. Can you remember that century when this person like the statistician here? He will tell you that. They almost scored a run a minute. And when he was in 90s, was Wally Hammond. For the person, Wally Hammond in the slips, he was saying, he came to Mushtaq, said, young boy, just be careful, you are in 90s, and then you can't get these opportunities very often. You can't reach such a 90 in a test match, you can't get test 100s. You are getting a test 100, get a test 100. There is no difference. When you play the normal game, you score the same thing. So that is Mushtaq Ali for you, sir. So this is what. Then Sunil Gavaskar, of course, he said, and there is a funny story I want to tell you. After the West Indies and other matches, England tour and all that, he had already made his name as a great opening batsman, Sunil Gavaskar. So at one function at Mahalakshmi, they called us, Sunil, myself, and it was a question-answer program. They asked many questions pertaining to which Sunil answered, and then I also answered some questions. Then this particular question was asked, where somebody got up and said, we heard that Vijay Merchant was a great opening batsman. And now, of course, Sunil Gavaskar also is a great opening batsman. But who was better? Who was better? And this question should be answered by Amogh Mathure, knowing fully well that Sunil Gavaskar is my nephew. So if that person asked me, Amogh Mathure should answer. So I got it. I told them, and I said, I consider an opening batsman, first thing, opening batsman when he plays the new ball. Main thing is new ball, later on it's like the old ball playing, no problem. But main thing is the new ball. How the ball pitching outside the after, how he leaves the ball alone. Watching the ball to the last, watching the ball alone. So that is my criterion of an opening batsman. And I think Vijay Merchant was past master at that. And I kept quiet. Then nobody asked any question, okay. After a week, Vijay Merchant wrote an article in Sport and Pastime appreciating Sunil Gavaskar. And you know, Vijay Merchant was a good writer. He used to write beautifully. He wrote a beautiful article on Sunil Gavaskar. Another week later, Sunil Gavaskar replied to that, thanking him. Thanking him about Vijay Merchant he wrote. And you know what he wrote last? He ended the article and narrated this story. He narrated this story where what I said, and you know last sentence, and they say blood is thicker than water. These are Sunil, typical Sunil. This is what they are. So I don't want to tell you about this great, what is opening batsman, because next is our Nari contractor. He is going to tell you about what is opening batsman and all that. So I now request given the public, he is doing a good job. For the first time I saw him doing a good job, doing a good job, first class, and kindly continue. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mantri. Thanks for the compliment. As Mr. Madhav said a little while back that opening batsmanship is
tremendous side. And for a youngster to get into the Bombay side was very difficult. But I clearly remember why I played for Gujarat. In 52, India was to go to West Indies. And because that is February, March, April, May, they were preparing for a side because all the stalwarts would be in West Indies. And they had organized trial matches, Bombay A versus Bombay B, CCI versus Bombay University, and I think Bombay University versus Bombay A, to find out the younger lot who will replace the senior players when they go to West Indies. Jaivan Palwankar, I remember, and myself got a few runs, 80s each, something like that. And Firoz Kambata was watching the match over here. So he called me and said, Babaji, you are born in Gujarat, why don't you play for Gujarat? So I said, Uncle, atla bada run kida to jare Pakistan ni team select thase tewa chance malse. So he said, your choice. When the team to play for Pakistan was selected, I was not in the 15. People selected were not, no criticism of the Bombay Cricket Association, but those who had not appeared in these trials, Madhav Dalvi played, Behram Irani played, all played, but my name was not there. The same day, there was a match, intercollegiate match, at Wilson College where I got a double 100. And in the evening sent a telegram to Gujarat Cricket Association, available if selected. Next day morning when I am reading the paper, I see Gujarat team to play Baroda selected. So I said, chalo, where? But I got a reply, proceed to Baroda. Now they had selected the team, which was in a sealed envelope. On the day of the match, Firoz Khambata was captaining the side. Got up with a stiff neck. I was not in the team. They had called me to Baroda to take my trials on a coir matting wicket against Jassu and Nialchand, who were the kings of coir matting in those days. I batted well in the nets, 2 nets that I had. But because Firoz got up with a stiff neck, I got into the team by accident. I got 100 in each innings and my line started. So that was the first accident. The second one was, before the second test match, I played my first test match against New Zealand in 55 over here. And before the second test match, we were at the Mathure station. When my erstwhile colleague, captain, senior and most respected cricketer Polly said, Vinu may not turn up and you may have to open. Vinu never turned up, so again by accident I opened, got a 60 or something, got another 60 at Calcutta and became opening batsman. The third accident, ruined my life. So as I am saying, my cricketing life has been ruled by accidents. Now, coming to the technique part of it. This is in the lighter vein. Madhav has said, both the Madhavs have said, the prerequisites of an opening batsman: concentration, technique. But I think the most important aspect of the whole thing is courage. When you go into bat as an opening batsman, if you think that you are going to be cowed down by X, Y or Z who is bowling against you, you have lost half the battle. The first criteria that you have to have for yourself is that whosoever it is, I am not going to get out and he can't do anything. He is also a human being, I am also a human being. He may be a little stronger human being, but I am going to encounter that. I think courage is the first prerequisite of opening batting. Madhav was shifting and changing after. You should enjoy opening batting. No. Nobody enjoys opening batting. You enjoy the challenge of opening batting. You enjoy the challenge of opening batting. You don't enjoy opening batting. Everything is against you. The new ball, the fresh wicket, fielders are fresh, everybody is fresh. So, you have to really get it into you to enjoy the challenge of facing the fast enemy. Once you develop that, you are on the right path. Now, coming to the technique of it, I think as an opening batsman, for that matter, any order, your head is a very important guide as far as your batting is concerned. If your head goes on the ball, it is in front of the ball, you are in line of the ball. Your leg will move, your elbow will move, but the head must go and the other things will follow. Another important thing why head is important is that when you take your stance, I am a left-hander. Now, the most important thing is the position of the off stump. You must exactly know where your off stump is. And the rough criteria is that if you stand like this, if you are here, then this is your off stump. Then this is your off stump. And then you know how the ball moves, the outer ball, the inner ball. You are here, so the in ball you play, the outer ball you are very cautious and leave it in. And as both of them have said, as great Vijay Merchant did, leaving the balls is a very important thing as far as opening batting is concerned. The other important aspect of opening batting, and a very important one, is always rise with the ball. Always rise with the ball. If you are like this, when the ball comes here, you will push your bat to it. But if you are rising with the ball, you will let it go. If I get up like this and the ball comes, I'll push my bat to it. Because I'm committed to it. Because I'm in line of it. And if it moves more, you are in trouble. Another thing is not to drive at a ball which is of a slightly shorter leg. Because then you are in a blind alley, because you don't really know how much the ball is going to move. If it moves more than your anticipation, you might edge it. The same thing applies on the leg side. I don't like flicking when the ball is pitched outside the leg stump. I like flicking when the ball is on my legs, because then I can control it. Once it pitches here first, it goes out of my field of vision, and then whatever I play is going to be Allah ka naam pe. Laga to laga, nahi to nahi laga. You know. The other important aspect of opening batting is never to anticipate anything. Watch the ball and what it does. Even don't anticipate a bouncer. If you don't anticipate a bouncer or expect, anticipate, no, you are supposed to be ready, but don't say that this will be a bouncer because something has happened. I remember a joke. We were playing at Nottingham, and Freddie bowled a shorter ball which came as a lollipop to Pankaj, and he hit it to mid-wicket for 4. And he came with his view. You know, why don't you hit my faster ones? And then Freddie started again, and Pankaj started moving away. He bowled a Yorker, bowled him. He came with a hand over his shoulder and left him to the gate of the Nottingham Pavilion. So never anticipate that you are going to receive a bouncer. Expect a bouncer. Be ready for it. But no. It is something like you expect that this is a googly and it turns out to be a leg wicket. You are then never in a position to really tackle the issue. The other thing that you do as an opening batsman is watch the bowler. From which angle is he bowling? Is he bowling over the wicket, around the wicket? Is he bowling from close to the stumps or from wider to the stumps? Because you can then be... See, another thing, important thing with the opening batting is, if the bowler doesn't know what he is going to bowl, how will you as a batsman know what you are going to receive? Because many a times the bowler bowls out swinger, it may be going in, and then what you call your reverse swing, it may come in swing may come, and then again it diverts outside. So, but no bowler, this is, I say, I may be absolutely wrong. There is no new ball bowler who can say that I am going to bowl this ball and then he can bowl that ball. Ball will swing, one ball may go straight. He will try to swing. The bowler tries to bowl a out swinger. The bowler tries to bowl a in swinger. A leg spinner tries to bowl a leg spinner, but that means there are many off spinners, but the ball goes straight. He's not seeing. You see, so what I'm trying to say is, you have to watch the ball. You have to watch the ball and then play it. Never, I mean, if he's bowling from the angle, you can expect, if I am batting, a right-hand bowler is bowling, I can expect that the incoming ball will be much lesser than the outgoing ball, because he will bowl from the angle. Same if he bowls round the wicket, the incoming ball becomes very prominent and the outgoing ball becomes very. So you learn from experience as to what you do, what you don't do. And as far as success of opening batting is concerned, I think it is a matter of adjustment. A very thin line is existing between, say, Ranji Trophy, Dilip Trophy and Test cricket. And what is that? It is a line of adjustment. If a bowler comes and bowls a bouncer to me in Ranji level, Dilip level, I may be able to hook him. That does not mean that when Wes Hall comes to bowl at me and he bowls a shorter one, I'm going to hook him. But if I try to do that, that is the adjustment I have not made, and I will pay for it. Same thing goes for cutting, same thing goes for everything. There's a very thin line which exists between Test cricket and first class cricket. And that line is nothing but temperament and adjustment. It is absolutely a very thin line, and those who adjust succeed, those who don't. One thing about the rising delivery, which is the most difficult delivery that the opening batsmen have to face. As Madhav said, in our era, there were no helmets and there was no protective equipment, but what was worst was that bowlers were bowling at us at 20 yards because of the old no ball rule. Because of the old no ball rule, where the steep was after the ball was bowled, because it was bowled so many yards further up, the rise was steeper. I mean, I could not for some time understand how this modern generation of cricketers are playing over here all the time to fast bowlers, and we were playing here all the time. Then I got the answer. Yes, because they are bowling from 22 yards, while what you are playing was at 20 yards. Because what the ball comes here used to come over here in our time. And one of the best ways to play a really short ball is, or the bouncer is, try to play it and then get out of it. So that you position yourself and then get out of it. You position yourself and get out of it. If you see it early, of course you let it go. But that all comes from practice. As I said, opening batsmen have to face the music. It is the worst job to do in the game of cricket. And as I said, nobody enjoys doing it. You enjoy the challenge of it. I think this is more than what I have to say. And if you want to ask me any questions, I am open for it.
What you said about the left-hander, how is it different you are with left-hander?
I was not a right-hander, how will I know? No, I think I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I mean, how will that change? I don't know. It's very difficult to say. Really.
Was Davidson the best swing bowler you faced?
Left hand, yes. But I think the best bowler I have faced is Brian Stead. Brian Stead. The quickest I have faced is on one day Gilly And one day was all.
Do you think that Brian chucked?
Brian? Well, they say so, but I don't. I don't even know whether Charlie Griffith chucked. I don't know. Because I played all the balls that he bowled. I can't see whether he's chucking when I'm playing.
You said that you don't enjoy being an opener, you enjoy the challenge of being an opener. But normally a child, when he is 5, 6, 7, 8, wants to become an opener. How do you reconcile yourself to that?
He understands the enjoyment later on. Not at the beginning of his career. No, you develop into that spirit. What I'm trying to say is you develop that spirit. And anyone who feels a little bit shaky over here will not succeed. That is all that I'm trying to say.
To explain the failure of a batsman like Glenn Hutton against an off-spin bowler, taking read and heard about it. I went to see a match.
See, like you, Betzer used to get Bradman out. Alec Betzer used to get Bradman out at square leg. I mean, bowlers, there are batsmen and bowlers who don't go together.
But Mary, please tell me, Vijay Gonchak has written that I faced Alec Betzer and I had no difficulty in facing him at all.
Right. Bradman had. So,
Because Bradman was the end of his career.
I agree. But what I'm saying is it happens. Every one of us probably had some hoodoo bowler who bothers you. Well, to a certain extent you will be saying Mani Hardikar bothered me. Because again, he was the off spinner who brought the ball in. Mani Hardikar. Manohar Hardikar. You see, as I said, when the bowler bowls and he doesn't know what he is bowling, you are in trouble.
It went straight, is it?
It comes in. It comes in. Not goes straight.
Bonnie?
Same. But he never bothered.
I'm friend German. German, ask for German.
Very German, yes. He, on a Kanpur, we can ask him what happened. So,
Sari, how valid is the old classical opener's technique today? Because you have batsmen like Sehwag, opener. According to the top batsman, former batsman like Sunil Gavaskar, when he scored 309 at Multan, at least 15 times he said, no footwork, and he scored the highest best score by any Indian. Now that has become a virtue for his openers. They don't get behind the line, they get alongside the line.
why I missed out
Most
on,
of them do it.
I have missed out on one point. Very good that you raised this issue. See, today, you see all the batsmen in the world. When they play forward, the bats are always opened up. That is the result that so many catches in the slip result. In our times, we used to play like this. It was always a try to get a 90-degree contact. Now, see, Virendra Sehwag and see, you can also compare Mushtaq with Virendra Sehwag. How can you now see when he's not getting runs, he's finding it difficult to get the runs. You see, when everything is in the flow, it is in the flow. If you are aware of your own technique.
Now, but today relying on eye-hand coordination, not the technique at the behind the line.
But he does it. See, now how will you account for Ganguly getting out at least out of 20 innings 18 times in this quadrant or just doing like this?
Because all these years he has not been able to know that his weakness against short
No, but now he just does it. So what can you do about it? Now he has to understand what he is doing wrong. First and foremost thing is he has to realize that what he is doing wrong. He says, I am playing fast bowling well. So there ends the matter.
That is the problem.
That's what I'm saying. There ends the matter. He says he plays well, so fair enough. There ends the matter.
That's another accident.
Huh?
That's another accident.
Yes.
Question of chancing an arm and eye as you had people and others. Arm and eye.
Chancing the arm and eye.
Huh.
It's a matter of chancing the arm and eye in the case of Buddhi Kundara.
Now, Farooq also, but he was more scientific, I think.
Are you saying that the technique should not change at all? The technique is carried over from...
It should improve. It has to change for the better.
It should change.
It should change for the better. You see, it should change for the better.
One simple example.
Now,
The opening of Mother in not technique. Earlier on, lifting the ball in the air was considered a horrible thing.
right,
We always said, why is it? Vijay used to be...
correct.
I jokingly told somebody that if Sachin was playing in Vijay time, I think you will not find him playing in Bombay stupid or not. He gets it from there.
I would not be very agreeable to that. But what I'm trying to say is, now you let 2020 come, no? No, this is the, see, you are playing more 50 overs cricket today. One day cricket is more than your test cricket. And your test cricket is producing results for two reasons. One is 90 overs per day. In our times they were 75 overs, Ketli, 75, 82 at the most, right? Out of which, now try and imagine, 75 overs a day or 80 overs a day. Out of which 10 or 15 or 20 at the most overs would be bowled by slow bowlers. And out of the other, at least 3 bouncers and over which go over your head. How many balls have you played? Now you have got a restriction of bouncers. No beamers, which were also welcome in our days. You see?
Bowling techniques have changed so much today. Bowling techniques have changed so much. Bowlers try to restrict the batsman. Earlier on, probably they were not doing that.
But that's what I'm saying.
So the batsmen were getting their runs.
So
why not to change the batting technique and discard some of the old orthodox methods?
But they are doing it, no? They are doing it.
But they are not approved. Like he said, Sehwag is.
But no, it is not approved. I mean, what he is saying is, how do they get away with it? They get away with it, so they get away with it.
But nobody tries to get away. 300 runs.
Yeah. See, first and foremost, if you really analyze, look, I think every 100 you sort of give a chance somewhere or the other. But in case of Virendra Sehwag, he has been always dropped in the initial stages. You see? Now if he gets through that, bad luck. And techniques have to, see, that is why I am saying, you don't, please for heaven's sake, don't compare. As a matter of fact, you ask this generation to bat without helmets, and I think, they may do something.
Madhav gave you a very good answer to that, that when there are no helmets, we were psychologically aware and we were protecting ourselves and successfully...
No, your concentration, my dear fellow, no, your concentration. You are protecting your body and seeing that you are protecting your wicket. Aaj to kya? You get into the position, you are not, you do like this. Jump karke idhar aake lagta hai.
I beg your pardon. You are one of the biggest reasons why helmets have come.
Okay, so that's the way it is. That's the way it is. What I was saying is, don't compare this generation with the next and the next with this. Things are going to change. We have to just go ahead with it.
Have we also changed?
The question is, were your bats different in those eras?
Oh, we were playing with wood.
And the wickets?
We were playing with wood. They are playing with bats. I'm not joking.
And the wickets?
Now wickets, I mean, that's okay. They will be a little bit this way or that way, but bats, beautiful bats today. I mean, every 2 that we scored in our times would be a 4 today. Every 2s that we scored, pads, they are lighter and so much sturdier that you don't get hurt.
All equipment.
Even your thigh pad, Madhav says we were wearing the thigh pad, yes, but that was a sponge. Now it is fiberglass. So, I mean,
Why even those also? Today's bowlers are difficult to score off. They are technically much better than the bowlers of the past. They have good training. They have methods by which they find out the drawbacks of the batsman.
Yeah,
and bowl
because
accordingly.
now why do they find out? Now why do they? Because you have got video and this and that. It was not existing in our time. It was not existing in our time. For I'll give you an example.
To put it crudely, all-time bowlers bowl like gentlemen, and you score runs out there. Today's bowlers are difficult, much more difficult.
Well, I don't think they were gentlemen in that sense of the word. If a bowler, ask this man. I'll give you a case in Madras Test against West Indies. 58-59. There was a time for 1 over. I mean, I think somebody got out in the second last over, or the last ball of the second last over, and Paulie came into bat. And he said, just try and play out this over. Fair enough. But the first ball that I received from Westall, I did like this, it went to deep fine line, and we had to cross over. Westall bowled that over of nothing less than 13 to 14 balls, and each one was a bouncer. 2 clearing, Jerry Alexander jumping full up. They तो एक तो actually dumb and dumb it hit the side screen, you know.
One top.
One tappa. Yeah. So I mean,
What language they use? What
Language.
language they use to use?
but what language were all used to you? You see, so the point is, I think opening batting and batting against fast bowlers was much difficult in our time than it is now. That I will never agree to. Okay, it is easier. It was easier then, because as I said, no protection. Bowling at 20 yards, 19 yards, 21 yards, it makes a hell of a lot of difference. And that is why we were all short balls we were playing over here. Today they are able to play over here just because those 2 yards they are bowling the shorter ball on that side. When they come this side, it is up, so it comes here. And that is what made our life miserable. So, I mean, there are pluses and minuses.
But Terry, Vijay Merchant, he Miller bowling from the other end. Each time he bowled a bouncer, Vijay Merchant just left it. After that, he stopped bowling them.
That's one way of answering
And
that.
Merchant said this, I wanted to explain. 4 of them are opening batsmen sitting here. Even Paulie has opened, if I am not mistaken, against Commonwealth. So he's also had a taste of opening batsmanship. And Vijay Merchant, once I was describing as a commentator the art of leaving the ball. I mean, the way that it was left, it was not properly left. Then after that, I mean, there was a break and there was a gentle tap. And Vijay Merchant said, Raju, always remember, there are only 2 ways of leaving the ball, the bouncer. The bouncer, as it comes, he says, if it is, you either put your head down like this and it will pass within 6 inches of you. Or either you do this and it will again pass very near you. And he always did that. You should never touch because then you never do. This is correct. I mean, absolutely.
That's why
correct.
you go to play it and then get out of it. That is what we did. So,
But could everyone do it? I mean,
you have to develop that. You have to develop that.
I told him that.
See, unfortunately, as far as we are concerned, we Indians are, we don't have that much attack to practice against. You know, today there is another advantage is so much continuous cricket is that your first class cricketers are all the time in the game, which in our case was what? 1 series in a year. Okay then. Okay, thank you very much. Huh? And, okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
And I understand that that album, of very, very rare album of Vijay Merchant, 36 tour of England, 46 tour of England, then other things, so many things. I mean, what was written about him, because he was only next to Hammond during one season. That entire thing at his Hindustan Mills he took one day, it got left there and it is lost to posterity because the rains came, not these rains, the rains came, and all the invaluable material that we had on Vijay Merchant, an album I had seen, is totally lost to us. Am I right, Amar?
Yeah, 91.
In 91. Totally lost to us. And the other thing is, I remember because when I was producing the World Cricket Specials, I rang up Vijay Bhai and I said, the last word. This was devised by M.B. Kamath, the editor, the last word on the last page. And I said, Vijay Bhai, I want the last word to be yours. So he said, I want this article by such and such a date. He had begun to be a little forgetful by that stage, Vijay Bhai, and the article hadn't come. So I rang him up and said, Vijay Bhai, what about the article? Oh, I'm so sorry, could you give me a little more time? Then he sent it immediately. I said, it's enough if you pull out one from your cricket with Vijay Merchant and send it to me. He pulled out one and sent it to me. And that, unfortunately, that last page, you didn't have more space to carry the article because magazine finished there. So I rang him up and said, Vijay Bhai, this is a little too long. He said, Raju, you do what you like with it. You fit it, do whatever you like, I don't care. I am sending you my entire setup of articles, Cricket with Vijay Merchant, and you have a look at it and substitute it if you like. I used that article which he had sent to me, he gave me the liberty to cut and I used it. Then I looked at that file which was with me for about 5 months because he forgot to ask back for it. And I saw in that file material for a book. Beautiful book, it would have been material for a book if it had been properly edited. I suppose even that file, Amar, is lost?
No, gone.
Gone. Because after 5 months, I said I was very tempted to keep on because one day I said I would do a book. And after 5 months, Subramaniam rang up, the secretary, and said, Vijay Bhai's file is with you, very gently reminded me, very loyal secretary, reminded me. Yes, I said it is with me. Could it be sent back? And I sent it back. And now I regret that I sent it back because there was material for a beautiful book on Vijay Merchant. And to think that Vijay Merchant's album is lost, it makes me very sad today on his 94th anniversary.
Thank you, Mr. Bharathan. We now move on to the grand finale of today's function. Mr. Raiji has put together a tribute to the Silken Touch artist Kumar Shri Dulip Singh ji. Before requesting Mr. Madhav Mantri to release it, I would like to request all the former Indian Test cricketers present here to please come here for a group photograph opportunity. Mr. Ajit Wadekar, Mr. Salim Durrani, Mr. Umesh Kulkarni, Dr. Patankar, Suru Nayak, Rusi Surti, Mr. Dilip Sardesai. And how can we forget the former international umpires, Mr. Dotiwala and Mr. Punjabi. Former Test cricketers and former international umpires.
Please.
Thank you.
1 minute.
One little anecdote. I was the first man to get run out. Kenny was second and Vijay was the third.